Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Chelsea versus Dinamo Zagreb. If you'd have told me that with 5 games played in this group, Chelsea will have won the group with nothing to worry about going into the final game, after we were beaten by Zagreb, I would have told you that you were a bit of a fool. But results have gone Chelsea's way, and we sit here on the 2nd of November already qualifying into the knockout rounds of the Champions League as group winners due to 2 phenomenal results against AC Milan and the win against Salzburg a week ago. In today's video, we're going to build my team. We're going to talk a little bit about Potter's comments post the game against Brighton. When we look at the game tonight, I want to discuss a bit more about whether or not, just because we've already won the group, do we prioritise resting players who clearly need a rest with all the football we've been playing, or do we use this game as an opportunity at Stamford Bridge to get people excited again, to get players out there trying to get back into form before the biggest game of the Premier League season so far at the weekend against Arsenal? When we look at what we need to do tonight, we don't really need to do anything, but I'm swaying towards I want to be entertained. I want to get excited again about watching Chelsea play. I think a lot of the football is still pedestrian. I think we need to spend a lot more time working on moving the ball vertically in similar manners to what we did against Salzburg. I think the reason we were so good, and it was so good to watch against Salzburg, was it was a competitive game. Salzburg are a decent team. I wouldn't be surprised if they got a result against AC Milan tonight to go through. But as well as that, Chelsea were moving the ball quicker. We were moving off the ball quicker as well, which meant that we were able to play more vertically, as opposed to always just moving it side to side, being patient around the area, being patient with the build-up. And as much as I want to see some players tonight get minutes, Graham Potter said in his press conference that you've got to respect the competition. Dynamo Zagreb have still got all to play for. I think Potter tonight is going to try and field a strong 11, but with my starting 11, I've gone with a 4-3-1-2. And the reason I've gone with that is because Chelsea have got a defensive crisis right now. Koulibaly is probably not going to be ready tonight. We've also got no Wesley Fofana, no Reece James, so we are looking thin. When we look at losing Rudiger, losing Christensen, maybe we can now argue that we should have spent more on yet another centre-back, but it wasn't to be. Tonight we're going to have to pick an 11 that I think is going to go out there and win the game. I think the fact it's at Stamford Bridge, yes, Dynamo Zagreb were very good when they beat us in Zagreb, but you've got the atmosphere there. You've got the buzz of it being, without question, their biggest game of the season when Chelsea are in town. But I think tonight at the Bridge, we'll get the job done, and I've gone with something a bit different, because I think Potter knows that he does need to experiment smartly. And tonight is the night where you can experiment a bit more smart. Before we start building my starting 11, I want to say a big thank you, as I have in pretty much every video in the last 2 weeks, to privateinternetaccess.com for sponsoring this one. Yes guys, so a massive thank you to Private Internet Access for sponsoring this video and partnering with me here on GBFC for 30 days in the lead up to the World Cup. If you don't know what Private Internet Access is, it's a VPN. Everybody should have a VPN to encrypt your internet connection. With the World Cup coming up, I live in Indonesia. I want to be watching with English commentary, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to the UK so that I can sign into my TV accounts in the UK and listen to English commentary from my favourite commentators. Why should you go with Private Internet Access for your VPN? Well, through my link in the description, you guys can also see it here on the screen, you're going to get yourselves 3 months for free and 82% discount, which makes this cost you $2.11 per month. Go check the link in the description. They're the most transparent VPN provider in the world. See you guys there. Thank you very much. If you didn't catch what I said yesterday, I'm going to be making a private Discord group for each and every one of you who joins Private Internet Access during this 30-month sponsored period. So make sure you sign up. Link is in the description. We begin with the goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy. Kepa went off in the game against Brighton. There was a lot of ambiguity with the knowledge of fans as to why Kepa was taken off. Graham Potter has said that it's too soon for him to return for this game tonight, maybe in contention against Arsenal. I think the fairest thing for Chelsea goalkeepers is that at the moment it's injuries that are making the number 1 position or the spot in the starting 11 change. Kepa, I don't think, despite us conceding 3 goals in the first half in that game against Brighton at the weekend. I don't think Kepa really could do much. You could argue that if there's 2 own goals, you could discuss organisation around the goalkeeping area. But, I mean, he's been in such good form. Yes, there are still questions about, is Kepa a long-term solution to Chelsea's keeper problems? Is Edouard Mendy going to sign a new contract, considering he's on less than half of what Kepa Arrizabalaga is being paid? Lots of questions about the goalkeeping position. Slanina's obviously come back as well from Chicago. Mendy starts in goal tonight. My back 4, this is not ideal. I've gone Aspi, Chalobah, Koulibaly and Chilwell. Koulibaly is still maybe available for the game tonight, but I'm thinking if he starts, Thiago Silva cannot feature in this game against Zagreb, in my opinion. I think he's played so much football. And the game against Brighton, as I said in yesterday's video, if you've seen the podcast episode from yesterday, you should go and check it out. It was a really good one with Josh and Guy. I was saying about Thiago Silva should not be playing this game. When Thiago Silva has a bad game, he makes mistakes, but still manages to make 5 blocks and clearances in that game against Brighton. But he looked off the pace. Chelsea overall were not up to the intensity of Brighton at the weekend, which is why I've made more changes. I think if we can get the job done after 60 minutes, maybe we see some youngsters come in, maybe we see a shape change so that Koulibaly can be rested, but I do think he'll start tonight to just get a few more minutes under his belt, leading into that game where we desperately need him against Arsenal at the weekend. Ben Chilwell comes in at left back. I don't want to see, as I've already said, I don't want to see wingers playing as wing backs ever again. If it means we have to adjust to a 4 at the back system, I think long term it's better for Chelsea that we do that. And I think if tonight we start with 3 at the back in an experimental game, as much as I agree with Potter, we don't want to disrespect the opponents, we don't want to disrespect the competition. If we don't try 4 at the back tonight with actual defenders playing in defensive positions, I'm going to start getting a bit annoyed about things. Azpilicueta is a more than feasible backup, even though he's not the player he once was. He's still had good performances this season. We can still call upon him, be it as a right centre-back, wing-back, or a right-back. So stop playing players out of position. We move into a never-seen-before midfield 3 with 2 players making their first ever Chelsea starts. I've gone with Denis Zakaria in the starting 11. Potter was asked about him, and I've got a feeling he might start. I think when we look at injuries, we've got 4 matches still left in November before the World Cup, so there's still a lot of football to be played. My throat is still rough, guys. I do apologise. Ruben in the right centre midfield position. I think Ruben is slowly playing himself in to being considered as a regular starter right now for Chelsea. He's been used as a wing-back a couple of times. We've seen him a bit more advanced. We've seen that he's got a lot better with carrying the ball. Offloading the ball at the right time, still not the greatest, but Chukwuemeka, I've been impressed with. And I think in a game like this, if you're bringing him off the bench in the Premier League, you've got to be able to trust him to play a game like this in the Champions League. And I think Champions League experience, when we look at the injury record of this Chelsea team, when we look at the thinness of the current squad, you've got to give Chukwuemeka a start. And with Kova being in and out of injuries, Jorginho, still a lot of football to be played. Yes, he's not got a World Cup, so Jorginho could probably keep being used, and I think it's more likely that Jorginho plays in front of those defenders as opposed to Zakaria, who hasn't played a single minute yet. I think if Chelsea are not going to be able to spend in January, you've got to try and keep Denis Zakaria happy. And I think you keep him happy by giving him a start tonight, and hopefully he performs the way that we know he has in the past, particularly at Borussia Mönchengladbach. Moving into a Chelsea front 3. I've gone with Kai Havertz in the number 10, behind the 2 strikers. Kai's been good in the last couple of games. There are a couple of good touches. Great goal that he scored against Brighton, a brilliant ball in from Conor Gallagher. We still need more. We need to see it consistently. And I think playing in the number 10 with Armando Broja and Christian Pulisic in front of him as the strikers, I think there's a lot of dynamism there. You've got obviously more of an advanced forward in Armando Broja, but also good at dropping wide, collecting the ball. Pulisic as well, good with his movement, finishing abysmal against Brighton, but you've got to keep giving him a chance at the moment where games are still coming thick and fast. You've got big ones coming up against Arsenal. You can argue maybe Raheem Sterling should play this game to try and build his confidence. Can he get himself a goal going into that game against Arsenal at the weekend. Chelsea are going to have one eye on this one, but I also think that we've got to give some players some minutes here. There could be a debut for Amari Hutchinson. He was on the bench at the weekend. We might see him feature in this game tonight. I do think Chelsea win this, and I think if we do go with a 4 at the back at Stamford Bridge, we can be entertaining as well. I'm going to go with a 3-0 Chelsea win in this game tonight. No disrespect to Zagreb. They've obviously beaten us already. We cannot underestimate the opposition. But Chelsea to win 3-0. 2 goals for Christian Pulisic. Don't know where that came from. And 1 for Armando Broja. I think he gets his first Champions League goal tonight. As I said at the beginning, private internet access. Link is in the description. Amazing deal. 82% off. 3 months free. And it works out at like $2.11 a month. And there is going to be GBFC Discord only for people who sign up during the next 2 weeks. And if you've already signed up, don't worry, you get into the Discord there as well. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Come on, you Blues.